Have you ever felt like your life was a series of red lights? There are so many times where you can literally feel that there's this guy in front of you literally messing with the lights just so that you get a little bit slower to where you're going, these roadblocks. Now, this can apply two ways because often you may have the same thing applying to actually streetlights. But what I'm talking about is life. How many times do you feel that what happens in your life is really a red light that says, oh, I don't think I was supposed to go that way? Now, if you've been taking notes on this podcast, you should already be thinking that a red light isn't necessarily me understanding, oh, I'm not supposed to go down that way. A red light is actually probably more tied to your fear. It's actually maybe more tied to your ego. And it's actually tied to who you believe you're not. Where are we going with this? There is a book by Matthew McConaughey called Green Lights. And if you know the actor Matthew McConaughey and everything that he's done in life, all the different movies that he's been in, the swagger, all the Lincoln commercials, everything about Matthew McConaughey has this, man, there is just something different in the water that he drinks because he just has that energy that you want to be around, that cool vibe of, yeah, I wish I could be more Matthew McConaughey. But there is a book that he wrote called Green Lights, released early last year. And it's essentially, it's not a memoir. It's not an autobiography, although it is about his life. As he articulates it in the opening of the book, he describes it as this is an approach book of how your life has been a series of green lights that you most likely missed. And it's these green lights that are really going to take you to the road that you're on. One of the craziest parts of this book is knowing where Matthew McConaughey is today, knowing all the fame and stardom that he has today associated with his name. You would not believe where he comes from. You think that he might have come from a privileged upbringing, that he might have just had a leg up on everybody. He might have just gotten into the right schools, been in the right place at the right time. Nothing could be further from the truth. His story opens up very quickly with describing what it was like growing up in his household. His mom and dad were divorced 2 times and married 3 to each other. These conversations that they used to have with each other were always around yelling. His dad was one of those that always used anger, always used, in many cases, physical abuse to try to get someone to do something a certain way. And that's how his early upbringing happened. So, why is that important? Because the way he approaches the book and the way he articulates his life is that there's been these moments in his life that have been green lights that were permission for him to keep going. Now, there are a lot of random ones too. They're not like some big vision. I mean, he knew where he wanted to go, but he worked his tail off to get there. He really put in all the extra effort to meet the people that he needed to early on, to not let his story be a limiting belief, but to understand how these things were teaching him things about life that he then had to figure out how to get applied in life. So if you haven't gone and checked out Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey, I add it to my top 5 all-time books that I've ever read. The audiobook is just as good because he essentially acts out the audiobook in a very Matthew McConaughey way. So if you're looking for a new book, if you're looking for maybe how someone made it to the top, starting with humble beginnings, this is your book. And to help make it a little bit easier for you, there is a link down in the show notes to go on Amazon and grab either your audible copy, your physical copy of Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. And I'll be back again with you tomorrow.